So I was looking at the timeline of the arrest record, which, keep in mind, was all misdemeanors, for the Lakewood shooter. All right. So she had gotten locked up in 2005, then had been free out of incarceration up until 2009. And then 2009 to 2010, she had 3 arrests. All right. Now, sometimes for people that have, had to deal with incarceration, actual recidivism is, difficult to close to impossible. Especially when you have a community that ends up going ahead and beating you down rather than actually acknowledging, your accomplishments after trying to work through the long-term effects of it. All right? So, it just really bothers me, the factor that, the news has basically been like, well, what could have been done to prevent it? That's the way the reporter was going about it. And, the neighbors end up going ahead and commenting and saying, like, yeah, no, we've been trying to get something done about this situation with her for 4 years. We'd been calling, cops, we'd been calling sheriffs, we'd been calling politicians, and, there was nothing that we could get done about her. And just to clarify, if your neighbors are pissed off because they've been going on a dialing campaign, trying to do what they can to get law enforcement to harass you, all right? Because they don't like the fact that law enforcement didn't get on you. But the issue that they have is that law enforcement didn't end up getting on you, harassing you, locking you up, and removing you from their personal, oh, well, you're not exactly what, our neighborhood feels is, we feel like you're an unsavory character or an unsavory personality. That type of mentality. All right? Just acknowledge something. Her last arrest before 2022 was 2010. Okay? So the neighbor had said 4 years that they had been doing it, before the shooting. So 2024, that means from the point of 2020. All right? So after 2 years, the first 2 years of that harassment campaign, she ended up snapping. All right? Ended up getting arrested for the first time since 2010. So instead of the community doing what they could to help assist her in acclimating, they did what they could to try to push her out. All right? They did what they could to, provoke her, to, weaponize her mental health issues, and then try to antagonize her. And basically their attitude, because keep in mind, somebody who's dealt with a harassment campaign could tell you the reason that they continue on is because, the mentality when somebody ends up trying to continue that on is, oh, you don't like the harassment? You don't like the psychological damage that, we're inflicting on you? Well, I don't see a problem with it. That's a you problem, not a me problem. All right? When she was showing signs that she could not endure the harassment anymore, and, her neighbors were like, oh, you don't like how relentless we're being with this harassment campaign? Well, we don't care. That's not an issue that we have to deal with. You've got to deal with it because fuck you. After doing what they could to make it feel like no matter what, she was not going to be able to exist in peace in any way, shape, or form unless she ended up completely and utterly conforming to what her neighbors wanted. She made the decision that, you know what, I'm going to show you when you measure too much of a you problem versus me problem, because you're thinking with your harassment campaign and the factor that I've asked you to stop, I've asked you to back the fuck off. You didn't want to hear me out. You just wanted to keep weaponizing my past, wanted to keep instigating and instigating and instigating. You didn't want to accept when I said that you were going too far. She made it everyone else's problem by going and shooting up a church. So, when somebody is saying, I am at the end of my capability of being to utilize diplomacy, because you have shown that my efforts to do so are going to be met in vain, and the only option that I'm going to have, because it will not suffice for you, is to go ahead, because you will not allow me to go ahead and just exist in peace. I'm going to have to show you just how badly this can end if you do not go ahead and absolutely obtain from trying to go ahead and continuously provoke me on a day-to-day basis. So, people ended up dying because of, community harassment campaign. The people were thinking, oh, this is funny. We're provoking the schizophrenic. Let's go ahead and mock her for the fact that she ended up, getting locked up. And we provoked her knowing, her, mental health issues. We provoked her. So did you enjoy your reactions in the long term? Was it worth it? Hopefully that situation ends up being a cautionary tale for anyone who thinks it's a good idea. Because keep in mind, her harassment campaign she dealt with 4 years. Factor of the harassment campaign that I've been dealing with, the last 20 years. Just really calculate the, the threshold and patience and tolerance left. I'm just saying. I would take that as a cautionary tale of, we should probably move the fuck on and, just give him the opportunity to, exist in peace, especially because the issue that he's dealing with, because of the factor that he got put through gay conversion therapy, that whole Rape the Gay Away program, and ended up getting persecuted for decades. So, yeah, it might be a good time to back off.